The biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. That is something that Mark Zuckerberg is quoted as saying. And so as we go on this journey of trying to make our dreams a reality, I think that developing our risk fitness is going to be one of those capacities that is well worth the effort. Welcome to Risk and Rise, the podcast where we explore the journey of overcoming the fear of failure, embracing risk, and achieving success in entrepreneurship, creativity, and personal growth. I'm your host, Telana Simpson, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Together we'll discover the strategies, insights, and shifts in our thinking and attitudes that are needed to turn setbacks into stepping stones and transform fear into fuel for success. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode of Risk and Rise. Welcome to Risk and Rise with me, Telana Simpson, your courage coach. Today, we are going to be exploring just one aspect of the concept of risk fitness that will help us to manage the risks that we face when we are wanting to create something. I like the concept of risk fitness. What it means is it is our readiness and our strength to tackle perceived danger. So in other words, how strong are we and how ready are we to actually deal with a risk? And a risk is something that we're usually fearful of because there's danger related to whatever this risk is. We experience a lot of fear. So the one aspect of risk fitness I wanted to talk about today was our ability to handle fear. Because interesting, it's also a big part of being courageous. If we are to develop our courage, we also have to develop our ability to handle and manage and deal with fear. So fear management is like anything else, a part mindset, part skill, and just part experience. The more we face different risks and deal with the fear that comes up, and the more we engage with that feeling, that emotion, that energy in our body that we label as fear, the more we deal with it, the better we get at dealing with it. So the framework that I really find when it comes to emotions that is most useful is to look at emotions as signals, as data. Emotions is just like, if you look at the word, it's E-motion. It's energy that we experience as moving through our body. And the energy, the different quality of the energy gives us an indication of what type of emotion it is. You have the more pleasant emotions, joy, happiness, peace. Those kind of emotions have a nice experience to it in our body, whereas the not so pleasant emotions, the energy of them is quite different. And the reason why the energy of what we label as the negative emotions is so different and so uncomfortable is because it's really trying to get our attention. So an emotion is just a signal. It's just information. It's just data. It's what you do with that information and how you respond to it that the significance comes in. So in my book, we want to have the full range of emotions. We want as much data as possible. So I want my good emotions, my bad emotions, my pleasant emotions, my uncomfortable ones, because the full range allows me to engage with the world and get as much information as possible so that I can take the best, most appropriate action back to whatever I am experiencing. So when it comes to fear in particular, fear is an interesting emotion because we are often even fearful of having fear. There's like a higher levels emotions about our emotions. But fear is one of the useful ones actually they're all useful, but it is useful in that it gives us information about what we need to prepare for. It's saying there is a risk here, and that's why fear is such a big part of our risk fitness, and why we're going to be looking at it today in order for us to tackle fear. So emotions usually have these two purposes to them, right? They get us to focus our attention on whatever it is that's happening in the world around us, or in even our thinking about what could happen or what is happening. And it also, fear motivates us to respond. So it allows us, if we're using, or emotion in general, say not just fear, emotions in general, if we use them as data, there's two purposes that they have, right? So the first one is that it focuses our attention, it gives us information, and it motivates us to respond in some way to what's going on. So there's a model or framework of understanding emotions that is called the Plutchik model, and it's a very colorful diagram. And what it does is it puts emotions on like a continuum, and it shows the degree, because emotions usually have just a little bit. For fear, for example, you're just a little bit nervous and anxious, and then you're really scared, and then you're absolutely petrified, right? So there's a level of intensity. But in this model, it also puts it shows there's another emotion that counterbalances each one. So when we're looking at fear now in terms of our risk fitness, on the one side is fear, the other side of fear is actually anger. Now, both of these emotions, fear and anger, have the purpose to get us to focus on a problem. It's telling you there's something here that is a risk, is a problem, is something you need to pay attention to. And the motive is usually to protect us. It's trying to tell us that we need to go into protect mode. So our response back with the motivation to protect is to either prepare more for whatever we're about to do, or to change our course totally, right? So when we're looking at fear, it's a kind of emotion, that, especially the negative emotions, we label them as negative, right? Because they're really getting our attention to say there's something significant to look here. It narrows our attention. We focus now on the risk, the problem, and we need to slow down and do something about it. Tony Robbins also has an interesting way of describing emotions as action signals. So they're signals that signify certain action that is required from us. And the key to get the information from the emotion is not to wallow in it and just sit in the emotion, or to then go to the extreme of saying there's a catastrophe about to happen. It's to ask this question, the about question. What is this fear about? If we can ask the about question, we start to get the information. And I love the way Tony Robbins explains the action signal of fear. He says it's the anticipation that something that's going to happen needs to be prepared for. And really, that is it. If you think about any risk that we need to face, whether it's in business, whether it's in your personal relationships, whether it's in your career, whether it's just in terms of your sport or your hobby, if you are going to be taking a risk, the fear that you experience in relation to that, and obviously the intensity, is trying to tell you how much danger is involved in what action you're thinking of taking, and also how much you need to therefore prepare for what you're about to do. So we talk about taking calculated risks. In other words, fear is helping us to learn that we need to do something in order to manage the risk to the best of our abilities. And so we prepare as much as we can. If you scared about doing public speaking, the preparation is to work on your speech as much as you can before the actual moment of giving it. If you're scared about starting a business, the preparation might be to find out what that fear is about, and you might find there's a number of things: financial security, market, is there actual market for what you're going to do, your mindset manage the failures you are going to experience along the way, the hardships. So all of that, the fear, right, is getting you prepared. And you do that preparation. You save up, you have discussions with your family to find the support, you downscale your maybe lifestyle so that you have a longer runway in order to take off with your business. You do some sort of preparation, and you'll find that as you take the action of preparing, so that emotion of fear will be manageable. It will be less. Won't be as uncomfortable because you're doing something about it. And you'll get to that sweet point where you've done all the preparation you need, and now you just need to add faith to the mix. You have to have faith that you've done the preparation needed, and then you need to show up and take that first step. So you can practice your speech as much as you can, write it, test it on people if it's really, you have the time and it's appropriate. And then you just have to have faith that you've done enough preparation, and then show up on the day and give the speech to your best of ability in that moment, right? Do the prep for starting the business, and then take that leap and have faith that you will just done what you can and you'll handle whatever comes your way. So having this kind of outlook on fear as an action signal that will help us to develop our risk ability, our ability to handle and take risk, is how we are going to develop that fitness we have of taking risks. Because if risk fitness is our readiness and our strength to tackle a perceived danger, fear is our ally. Fear is what is going to help us to know where we need to prepare, in what way, to what degree, so that we can tackle that perceived danger. It will help us be more ready for it. And then I think the strength part of risk fitness just comes from practice, just comes from taking risk. The more we engage with risk, the stronger we get at dealing with it. So like any kind of fitness, I hope that this, as a short little piece around how we manage fear, will give you some sense that fear is our friend. It's not something to avoid, and if anything, it's something to embrace and to really get to the heart of what is the signal telling us, what is the data behind this specific fear that will help us to prepare so that we can engage with the risk in front of us and hopefully reap the benefits of tackling that risk. So this has been Risk and Rise, and I'm Telana Simpson, your courage coach today. And if you enjoy the show and would like more of these kind of little nuggets of tips, then please do let me know. And also please follow us and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast channel. And I hope that you will go now and explore fear this week. Have a look at anything you feel a bit nervous, a bit anxious about. Write to something you're absolutely petrified about, and try to work out what that fear is telling you. What is the data it's giving you? And then look at what actions you can take to prepare to manage whatever it is that it's telling you need to be scared about. And that way we'll all develop our risk fitness and be able to risk and rise together. Thank you for joining me on Risk and Rise, where we face fears, conquer challenges, and rise above adversity to achieve our dreams. Find out more at riskandrise.co.za.